Good morning, a good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to another show on the Sports, Music and Life podcast. Today, I'm going to be covering a bit about the Canelo fight because there wasn't much I could really talk about on that one, and the fight between Inoue and Cardenas. I think I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I haven't. Carnidas. Sorry, yeah, Carnidas. That fight between them two. Oh, what a great fight that was. I'll go straight in with Canelo because there wasn't much I could really talk about on that fight because it wasn't much action, was it? Skull spent most of the time running away. Canelo was trying to pin him down and close him down. He was going to the body a lot, but it's a bit hard to fight a fighter when you're on the run, and he didn't do himself any favours. That was the biggest fight he's ever had on the biggest stage that Skull ever had, and he'd done that really, and it wasn't entertaining for people. But on the other hand, it was an easier fight for Canelo because he's got a bigger fight coming up with Terence Crawford. Now, I'll give a little view on that. Yes, Terence Crawford is a very good fighter, but I do believe that Canelo will win that one, and the reason being because Canelo's at super middleweight, and even if he does drop down to middleweight or it's a catchweight fight, I'm not 100% sure yet what the weight is going to be at. Yes, you could say that Crawford's come up to what I call the super welterweight division, but they've changed it to like middleweight now. um, but it's the height difference, and Khan stepped up to middleweight, I believe, when he took on Canelo, and look how that happened. And Canelo has got big power. I mean, that overhand right is his money punch. But it was nice for Canelo because he's been in a lot of wars over the years. I mean, two real hard fights with Gigi. It will probably have to go down as two of the greatest fights ever. Or you know, there's been so many great fights, but them two are definitely up there, aren't they? So yeah, so maybe it was an easier night for Canelo to do that and have that sort of fight because he's got a bigger fight coming up. But I normally, for those who are new listeners and subscribers, I write notes down and I go round by round about it, and I will then give my views on the rounds, and I will be reading notes and giving my overview over the end of the fight. This is my first one talking about overseas fights, and I'm talking about two of my favourite overseas fighters, and that is Canelo and Inoue, who are great fighters, and for me are the two pound for pound fighters out there at the moment because of what they've done in the weights they've gone up in and fought, and how they've done it, unified it. Undisputed champions and what not, and they're great fighters. And that's not saying Terence Crawford ain't. There's no disrespect for him. I do like him. I do rate him quite a lot. I remember his first world title fight win, and that was against Scotland's Ricky Burns. I remember watching that on telly, and I really liked him and followed him since then. But let's go back to Canelo and Skull fight. So yeah, there's not a lot you could really say about that. Was there? Canelo tried pinning him down, getting it to the body. But it's hard to pin down a fighter that keeps running and doesn't want to fight, and it doesn't make it great entertainment for us fans, unless you're one of them fans that like to see that outside boxing. But for me, it's not enough to win a fight, and Canelo went on to be victorious. Yes, that's all you can really say about that. I didn't see the Devin Haney fight, and I didn't see the Garcia fight, but does Garcia need a bit of juice to win a fight? Who knows? I certainly wouldn't think he'd be getting his shot at Devin Haney again, because he'll have to come back and avenge that loss that that he just had. So let's get into the fight that I really want to talk about, and that's Inoue against Cardenas. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I do keep trying to have a listen to see if I'm pronouncing that right. But I do apologise if I am pronouncing his name wrong. But I tell you what, that's the first time I've seen him fight, and I really enjoy watching him fight. And he comes with a bit of power too, as we'll get into that. So, as most of the time for round one, it was One of them working out rounds, you very rarely not see them. Sometimes you start with action straight away, but this was certainly one of them that was a working out round. Both having a look, and then land a jab, which the jab is the most important punch you have in boxing, because it sets up everything. Even if you're tired, you want to be flicking that jab out and that to get recover. But yeah, so not much you can talk about round one, but going into round two, and he come out, he planted his feet a bit more. In this round, he started to land his combinations, which was some beautiful combinations going in. He was, but Cardenas he was trading back. He was having it a bit back with him, so it was a proper action-packed round. Whipping the hook, landing the heavy shots himself, and he caught Inoue with a lovely shot that puts him down at the end of the round. He wasn't really hurt from it, Inoue, sorry. Inoue wasn't really hurt from it. He did get back up, but he was a bit choking out. But I say that's what woke him up a bit more. Because coming out of round three, just double check my notes. I did think the commentators did make a bit of a meal of that knockdown. It wasn't as bad as what everyone thought. You can normally tell if it's really bad by looking at the fighter. So yeah, I think the commentators overreacted a bit to that. Oh yeah, and Carnitas also did draw a bit of blood from the nose of Inoue in that round. So going into round three, like I said before, the knockdown that seemed to wake up Inoue, which normally does. He's been down a few times in his last few fights, but he's a warrior and he's tough and he's well disciplined. And he come out and he took control of his fight. The big hook that put Inoue down. He was looking for that a lot, Cardenas, and Inoue was smart to that. A little move back, a little step back. He was making him miss of it. He was seeing it coming a lot more now, which you're going to do if you've been hurt by the punch. You learn your lessons and you move on. Or you're going to be in for a real tough night, aren't you, really? So, yeah, that was what was happening in round two. And it was a lovely little step back, a little head movement. It's an art to watch when people can do that sort of stuff. I really do admire that and love watching it. Just have a little read of my notes just to make sure I covered everything in this round. Yeah, again, like I say, they were both landing some heavy shots, but I'd say Inoue was coming off it better. Inoue, however you want to pronounce that. Inoue. So going into round four, what I wrote down is what a fight this was starting to look from both men, both leaving it in there and both going it and wanting it. And I swear what you got to really respect with Carnitas is that he was there to win it. He wasn't there for a payday. He generally thought he could beat the Monster. I call him the Monster, that's his nickname. The Monster. And he came to win and he was game. And that's what you want to see in a world title shot. Not like Skull. He had the chance to win all them belts and he spent most of his time running, didn't he? And like I said before, it's boring to see that. So let's have a little look at the notes then. So what we got here, we'll start with blah blah blah. And was starting to open, the Monster was starting to open up with combinations with some real venom. So he was starting to put some venom behind his shots now. Into round four. And Cardi, like I say, was coming back. He wasn't going to sit there and take it. He knew he could hurt the Monster. So he was going for it, but he was missing quite a bit of that hook. But he still landed some lovely combinations himself. It was a beautiful fight to watch. You'll probably hear me keep saying that. So, right, let's have a look. Going into round five. Yeah, so the Monster had a great fierce jab. He's one of the best jabs in the game at the moment. He proper lands it in and he rams it in. and you know, with that sort of jab, it's gonna, you know, give his opponent something to think about. So yeah, so he was like, you know, landing his lovely jabs. Sorry, just have a read the notes. So yes, he was keeping him at bay in this round with that jab, and landing some lovely shots, looking to go to the body too. And that's so yeah. So what I did notice in this fight, it was later at the end of the rounds, is when Cardenas was starting to come into this fight. So the later parts of the round, well, halfway or the second half of the round is when he come into life and started to land his combinations and started to plant his feet and have it a bit back. So yeah, so he come to life and started to fight back. Yeah. So round six, bit of a change up for the way Cardenas was coming out. He come out a bit livelier in this round. And then comes back Inoue with his heavy shots again. So both shots again, both fighters again landing lovely heavy shots. And they'll, like I say, they're proper going for it. And this is the pattern for most of the fight. Yeah, so at this point, was it getting a bit tired? You know, you're halfway through the fight. You put a lot into the rounds, and Cornelius was starting to back up a bit every time he got a bit hurt. But being the Mexican that he is, the toughness that he had, and he'd come back. Just when you think, well, he looks a bit hurt here, and then he'd come back. So he was a real tough lad. Like I say, he was proper game for it, and you can't fault the fella for it. Really, it was you know he was a tough fighter, and he had the chance to be the first person to beat Inoue, the monster, and take all them world titles. And this is the monster's first fight in overseas or in America. I think for 6 years. I think they were saying so. Yeah, there's a bit of, you know, bit of nerves there for the monster too. So he comes firing back and finish off the round better again. What are the best rounds? So I had that down as the best round in the fight because both fighters went at it and had it. So yeah, so that was the best round of the fight for me. And but like I say, the punch in going into round seven, the punches were starting to look like they were starting to affect Cardenas. Sorry. I'm very sorry for these pronunciations. I do try to rehearse them, but I'm not very good at them. Uh, but I do love to talk about boxing. This is why I've done this podcast. And obviously I do the music one for people that don't listen. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to boxing. Talking nonsense there, anyway. So yeah, so he was really starting to look a bit hurt. But the thing is, what I loved it when he looked hurt is that all of a sudden he'd come back. And he'd come back at the monster and have it a bit more. No, you just couldn't write him off. And I was quite surprised when the stoppage come in round 8, really. No, sorry, excuse me. I was very surprised what they said to him at the end of the round. His corner was saying that we're going to pull you out. I mean, they know their fight. They know what's best for their fighter. But I was a bit surprised because I thought he was still in the fight. At times he looked hurt. But he come back very well. So, yeah, I was a bit surprised at that they were saying that. Let's have a little quick look at the note. Yeah, so I've written down the two tough warriors, which that's what they were. They were proper tough warriors. I tell you, I spoke about it a bit earlier. It was a bit like watching the Gigi and Canelo fights. You know what I mean? Like the punches seemed to just bounce off each other. But like I say, at times though, the only difference was Cardenas looked a bit like he was hurt. So going into round 8, this is when the fight got stopped. The monster put it on him a bit more and come at him. The ref comes in and stops it. He wasn't throwing back much, but obviously the ref had seen enough and decided to stop it. So yeah, that for me was a real cracking fight. Another really good fight to watch. Entertaining from round one to round eight. And I'll tell you something now. Cardenas will come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a world champion because he was definitely deserving to be at that level. He went out of his heart on his shield, and he left everything in that ring. And you can't fault boxers for doing that really, because you know it is a dangerous sport. So yeah, so that was my review on that. Like I said, for me, I mean, I always up and down and weighing who is my pound for pound. 1 minute it's the monster, 1 minute it's Canelo. It's certainly for me in between them two. Other people will have their own views in that, you know. I mean, you can't not put Usyk in there, but for me, they are my two favourite overseas fighters. I followed Canelo for years. When he first fought Matthew Hatton around that time, and he's been around a long time. Canelo and been in some serious fights. So yeah, so that was my review on them two fights. One being really good, the other not so good. So we're coming to the end of the podcast now. I just thought I'd give you a little one of my views on the them two fights. So yeah, thank you for listening again. If you're liking what you're listening to, please like and subscribe. And we will be bringing you more. The next one will be released will be a music one. And that'll be with my partner that I do that with. So yeah, so thank you for listening. Really appreciate it, and I'll be bringing you some more content soon. Thank you.